so Al Bundy. Whoa, whoa, slow down, buddy. Vocab so wild, whole style's money. Don't frown just cause old gal love me. Hand in my waistband, so Al Bundy.
Al Bundy. Welcome back to your little sister's favorite podcast and the only fantasy podcast that's making fantasy football great again.
Please never talk about anyone's little sister again.
This is your little sister's favorite
Oh
podcast.
my God, you make
Fourth
it sound
Yeah, check that.
and goal.
It's your mother's favorite podcast.
Yeah, if anything, it's your mother's.
It's all y'all's favorite podcast. It doesn't matter who you are. We accept all. Everybody can listen. But let's get into the goodness. We got week 10 creeped up on me. Already here, and that just means one thing. Week 9 is done. And it was pretty good week 9, guys. I enjoyed a lot of the games, especially that Monday night game. Beautiful.
Monday night was good, minus the refs.
I
But the refs have been messing up all year.
Yeah,
The
they've
refs
been
are
absolutely terrible.
So it's nothing new.
Did they just dress up the backup refs and say, hey guys, we're going to see if anybody notices?
I think that's exactly what they did. They're trying
They
to
could easily be
fool
the
us.
replacement refs, because that's how I feel watching the games.
The only people they got is is pretty much Ed Hockley, because everybody knows him, and everybody else is just the backup refs.
I think they only have Ed Hockley because they're afraid he'll beat them up if they try to get rid of him.
Yeah, they can't
He's
fire his
huge.
ass.
He's too old and
They
he's
tried
too
to
big.
fire him, and he put him in a
A chokehold.
rear naked
Yeah.
chokehold. But enough about Ed Hockley, because I want to get into my favorite segment of the show, and that's game balls. And I'm kicking us off with a game ball that is close to my heart, and that's my boy Jimmy Got Grams. Jimmy Graham, speaking of that Monday night game, Jimmy Graham not only won the Seahawks the game, but he won me my fantasy game. Beautiful. 8 catches, 103 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not just 2 touchdowns, though. 2 one-handed touchdowns.
Yeah, he played well.
Really looked like the old Jimmy Graham. It looked like, well, Russell Wilson had his best game as well, so he could actually get the ball to Jimmy Graham, and Jimmy Graham, man, looking like his old self. I'm really happy about him going into the future.
Are you buying or selling that, though? Like, how many times have we seen this Jimmy Graham? Do you know what I mean?
We'll get into Jimmy
I'm hoping
Graham.
Jimmy Graham's back.
I would love for him to be back.
I
because
love
he
this
was
Jimmy Graham.
So much fun to watch back in New Orleans with Drew Brees, but for some reason him and Russ Wilson haven't really been able to click. I think a big portion of that has to do with the offensive line, which has been pretty subpar
Yeah,
for the past 2 seasons, ever since they made the trade to get Jimmy, because they lost Garcia. So
and they traded Scherzer to them
And
to
Unger.
get Jimmy.
Max
Oh, wait,
Unger as
what did I
well.
say? Scherzer?
Yeah.
Baseball player. What am I talking about?
That's
It was
okay.
Unger. They traded him, and he was their best offensive lineman by far. And then they drafted 2 defensive tackles and a tight end, converted them to O linemen, and didn't work out last year. Wasn't working out so far this year, but it looked like they looked decent against
they
Buffalo.
look good against Buffalo. Buffalo's got a pretty good defense, honestly. Despite all the injuries that they have, they still have a lot of talent on there.
Yeah, and Shaq Lawson's a beast. I love that man.
Yeah, I knew he was going to be a stud.
But yeah, my game ball has to go to Jimmy Graham. Loved it, baby. Who's going for that second game ball? Who gets the honor this week?
I think it's Pace.
Pace,
You think
who
it's
gets
me?
the honor this week?
I'll take the honors this week.
You don't usually get them, so I'm giving them to you.
Oh,
We're
appreciate
You're
that.
welcome,
I'm
bro.
honored. Game ball this week is Melvin Gordon.
Uh,
He did it again. 32 carries, 196 yards, 1 tug on the ground, and also 4 catches and 65 yards.
My gosh.
Such a beast. He does it every week, and I love it. I wish I had him.
Same.
Yeah, no doubt.
I actually had to verse him, but Jimmy Graham still overcame him. It's pretty great.
Jimmy Graham overcame that? Wow. You must have a deep
Yeah.
team.
He had like 31 points. He's a beast.
Wow. Yeah, 33 for Gordon. Wait, Jimmy Graham had 31?
No, he had 28. I thought Gordon had 31.
No, 33 close. But he deserves the game ball, even though this isn't his first of the season. He just is a monster. Fantasy machine.
We gotta start doing
he
tallies.
is. I don't understand. He was taken so low in all the drafts, and he's definitely the best player for that bargain.
For sure. Currently the number 1 fantasy back.
Oh, David Johnson did just have his bye week.
Which is
He
so
did,
funny
he did.
Because last year Melvin Gordon didn't even have any touchdowns.
This year I believe he leads the
He's
league.
got 11 this year?
I think
He's
so.
already got
Double digits halfway through the season already. I mean, Melvin Gordon's just on a tear.
Yeah, I mean, they kept projecting him to have like 28 touchdowns on the season or something, which everyone was saying there's no way that's going to happen. But the fact that he's at 11, he could easily finish with 18 or so touchdowns, which would be the most rushing touchdowns in a long time.
For sure.
Long time.
Whoa. Slow down, buddy. Nah, Melvin Gordon did great this week. I just wanted to say that. Yeah, great game ball pick. Who's bringing it in next?
I got a game ball for you guys.
Who you got?
I have a guy that fantasy owners had started to turn away from, looked down upon,
Oh.
maybe even benchable.
Jesus.
But you know what? Mark Ingram for the New Orleans Saints balled out this week. 15 carries, still not the most on the team. Tim Hightower got 23 over him, but Mark performed with 158 yards, a tug on the ground, and a tug through the air for a total of 27 fantasy points.
No more tugs.
Fantasy owners have nothing to worry about with Mark, in my opinion, going forward. He's definitely gotten his roll back with 158-yard performance like that. So, yeah, I think Mark Ingram was going to be my game ball.
Yeah. I was a little scared going into the game. I started Mark Ingram because I have no backs.
Well, you had to. Still against San Fran's D.
Yeah, and the easiest matchup for running backs this year has been San Fran. But Tim Hightower has really been controlling those carries, but all my faith is restored in Mark Ingram. Starting him against Denver this week.
Ooh, against Denver, that's a
We'll
tough
see how that
matchup.
pays off.
Denver, always a risky chance there.
I mean, one bum got 30 points against him 2 weeks. Actually, this week, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Oakland played Denver.
Yeah, Latavius Murray just ran very well against
30
him.
points, had 3 1-yard touchdowns. I ain't worried about Mark Ingram.
But enough
Goal line
about Denver.
TDs are so nice. I love goal line TDs.
Craig, who are you going with for your game ball this week?
Wrap us
I'm
up.
going to go unconventional, I think, because I'm not going to be picking a player who won.
Interesting.
Game ball to a guy who didn't win.
Yeah, because he's also very true to my heart, Bass. I think you would understand that.
Very rare
yeah.
event.
We'll see.
Michael Evans.
Mike
Oh,
Evans,
the Tampa Bay
though.
He had 11 receptions for 150 yards and 2 TDs, and he left the game with concussion. So he could have had even more. He's a target monster. He's on pace for over 200 targets this year, which is insane. And he gets like 15 a game. So he's very consistent as a wide receiver play. And Jameis literally only looks his way on every passing down. So I think you could take Mike Evans a lot of weeks, but this was definitely his best week of the season.
Oh, Mike Evans made me so happy. I tweeted that I thought that Julio Jones and Mike Evans were both going to have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
You were
One
close.
of them did.
You were
Yeah,
close.
and Julio had, 110
Yeah.
yards and a touch.
And a touchdown, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Very
I
possible.
might be able to predict the future, guys.
I don't
You
know
should
about
listen
that.
to me more.
If we go to our game picks, I don't know if we're going to.
Nah, we don't have to go into this.
Yeah, we'll touch on that a little later. We'll save you the misery of that.
Yeah. But there you go. Those are game balls this week. We really start got to tallying this up. We got to see at the end of the year who wins the fantasy season game ball.
That's a good idea.
Very
actually.
interesting.
I like that.
Who's picked that? I haven't
think it's
checked
gonna
it
be
out.
Melvin G, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
Gordon?
so upset about that, honestly.
Could be. I feel like there's a lot of guys who get named twice. But we're gonna move right along. We're gonna do we were gonna do buy or sell first, but I'm still feeling a little blue. I'm feeling down, guys. Yeah. Because I thought they were done. And there's every week.
Yeah,
There's
Bass
just
doesn't
more
realize
bye
it's not till week
weeks.
13, though.
Oh my God! But good news. There ain't 6 teams on a bye this week. There's only 4.
Who are they?
This
Give them
week,
to me.
We got the Buffalo Bills, the Detroit Lions, the Indianapolis Colts.
Not Indy.
Oh boy, and the Oakland Raiders.
Ooh.
So
Coming off the big win on Sunday night, the Oakland Raiders.
I got Andrew Luck, and I really need somebody to fill in for that number 4 fantasy quarterback this year.
I tell you not to go with Carson Palmer.
And you know what? Craig says not to go with him, but guess what I did this week? I went Carson Palmer. Now, just because I'll go Carson Palmer, and he's not available in a lot of leagues, I'll give you guys another one. But I'm just going to tell you what
He's owned in 84% of leagues,
84%
Bass.
of leagues.
Okay.
But this man is going to ball.
You can't get him
out.
anywhere.
If you can get Carson Palmer,
Don't do it.
go get him. Now, somebody else start us off, and I'll go get you a real quarterback to play.
What do you mean?
You can't get Carson Palmer anywhere.
Oh, well, yeah.
84%. I just wanted to let them know what I was
That's on your fault.
I wanted to gloat about Andrew Luck a little bit.
That's your fault.
How do you guys feel about Alex Smith coming back this week?
I hate Alex
against
Smith.
Carolina.
I like Alex
Fantasy
Smith.
assets.
You like Alex Smith?
Carolina's got a terrible secondary. They can't stop anyone in the pass.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
he also can't throw the ball more than 15 yards down the field.
You didn't hear Craig? He's truly
He
accurate.
still puts up fantasy points sometimes.
Yeah, read me off his season stats.
31,
Yeah, go
3,
ahead.
15, 21, by 8, 20, 11.
Booty.
The 11 was probably obviously the week he got concussed.
Alright, well, I like Alex Smith, but this guy I'm going to give you. I don't really like that much. But why not go Jay Cutler this week? Yes, I said the same thing when I started looking at him, but realistically, I watched that game against Minnesota, and I was thoroughly surprised. Against the number one scoring fantasy defense, Jay Cutler put up a very modest 252 yards and 1 touchdown. It was only good for 16 points, but if you watch the game, Jay Cutler looked fantastic for the first time ever in his life.
No.
And the best part about it, coming off the bye, he doesn't have to play the Vikings. He gets to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ooh, they do have a terrible secondary, though.
One of the worst in the leagues. And this guy is somehow the 37th ranked quarterback and is only owned in 10% of leagues.
Well, he's
The second,
37th
I'm
ranked
not-
because he's only played 2 games, bro.
Yeah. But the second one, I'm not that surprised, only 10%. But this is a guy you can go pick up, and he's got a great matchup. And with how he looked last week, if he can ride that momentum, he could get you a pretty big game playing Tampa Bay. It is at Tampa Bay, so
I think
it
that
hurts me a little bit.
Alshon Jeffrey's stock took a big rise when Cutler went back under center because if you look at his games at the beginning of the season with Cutler, he was going crazy. And that was only 2 games, but now that Cutler's back on track, I mean, Hoyer was spreading the ball to everybody. Cutler really just looks for him and Eddie Royal for the most part, but he always looks for Alshon in those big spots.
For sure.
So I think that could be a good setup, especially against the Tampa Bay Bucks. I could see Alshon going for over 100 and probably 1 or 2 touchdowns. So I can see Cutler being a good play.
Oh, easy. And he also likes Zach Miller, but that is one thing you can rely on Jay Cutler for is he's going to feed his big targets. He did it with Brandon Marshall in Denver and Chicago, and now he's doing it with Alshon Jeffrey. Now that he gets to play again, I really like Alshon Jeffrey,
Yeah,
especially this week.
Yeah, they really do have a great connection.
He's a stud.
Who else we got, though, guys? Who's the quarterbacks you're going to give me? Feed me some more knowledge.
Knowledge. You want
I need
knowledge?
knowledge.
I'll spit you some knowledge.
Give me some knowledge. Who you going with?
You should grab on both hands to the red rifle.
To Andy Dalton. Let me hear
Andy
why.
Dalton. He's 11th ranked quarterback, and he had a bye week last week.
Ooh.
So he was even higher up. I think he was 9th or something like that, ranked last week. He's played very well this season. He's had over 20 points in 5 out of the 8 games he's played.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very consistent. I think that he has a good chance to put up some numbers against the Giants, whether it be garbage time or actual game time. He finally has all his weapons back with Eifert finally healthy. You saw how he played against Washington and London. And he has A.J. Green, who's going off, having an all-pro year. So then you factor that in. He's got Gio too, and Jeremy Hill. I think that Andy's poised for a pretty big day against the Giants.
Yeah, and you saw in the Eagles games that Janoris Jenkins is toast. He's not going to be able to handle A.J. Green. They're going to have to double him, and that's just going to only open it up more for LaFell and Eifert. I like Andy Dalton's matchup this week. It's a good one right there. Maybe I should have picked him up instead of Carson Palmer. Now
I would have probably advised that.
I don't like the red rifle.
I got a QB for you guys.
Ooh, I love QBs.
You might question this one, but I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to give you guys Colin Kaepernick. Available in 85% of leagues. I know, you're saying Colin Kaepernick, but despite his struggles, in quotation marks right there, since he's returned, he's gotten no less than 15 in any game, and he's coming off of a 398-yard performance with 2 touchdowns and 20 rush yards against the Saints, which is a 25 in fantasy. And I just think, although he's at Arizona, he's familiar with them. He's been in the division for, I think, 5 to 6 years now, and he's played Arizona a ton. So I just think it's not as big of a deal as it would be for some other quarterbacks going there on the road, especially with his escapability as well. So I don't know. I think if you're desperate and you got one of those 4 QBs on a bye, you could do worse than Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, definitely, because he's multifaceted. So you get the rushing and the passing.
He's averaged 50 rush yards a game since he came
pretty
back.
absurd.
Ooh.
But do you recall the last game that Colin Kaepernick played last year in the NFL?
I can't say I do.
Against the Arizona Cardinals. And I believe he threw 3 back-to-back picks.
Back to
2 of them
back.
being pick sixes.
Well, Craig,
That's
you know
where his
what?
confidence crumbled.
I'm willing
So
to give him redemption.
That's what I'm saying is the chance of this game is it's going one way or the other. He's either going to come back and redeem himself and try to stud out and show out, or he going to crumble again and under the mental capacity of that task. So I'm excited to see how Kaepernick performs this weekend.
Well, I told you I'm going out on a limb, but I'm saying could be a boom.
Could be a boom for sure.
Boom.
Could be a boom.
Boom.
Anyone else got a QB?
Boom.
I'll give you one more if you don't got one pace.
You try out Alex Smith this week. That's my pick.
Don't give another quarterback.
I'll give
we
you
already
enough.
gave enough quarterbacks.
About Ryan Tannehill against San Diego.
Oh,
I'm
God.
not
How about
gonna get
now?
too far into him.
No.
San Diego's
All right,
defense is
running
playing
backs.
pretty good, but
You're
if
done.
they do one thing, they do
This
give
bye
up a
week
lot
blues
of
is
points.
already getting.
Yeah, can we move on?
We're gonna move on.
If
We're gonna
even
move on.
Tannehill, we got problems.
I love
you're-
Ryan.
If you're in a 20 league or 20 team league, use Ryan Tannehill.
Go ahead and
maybe
pick
this
up
week.
Tannehill, but otherwise don't.
If you like the fact that he has a really hot wife, then go pick up Ryan Tannehill.
Well, that doesn't help your fantasy life, bro.
But I love looking at her.
Well,
All right.
you're going to get over that.
All right, so
Moving
we're gonna
forward,
move in-
running backs this
Yeah,
week.
we're gonna move into running backs. How's that sound? Why you
All
gotta
right, let's
say?
run into those running backs.
Let's dig. Let's go ahead.
I want to start.
Who are you going with?
The new starting running back for the Washington Redskins.
Who's it going to be?
Oh,
Robert Kelly.
Robert Kelly.
Yes.
So he didn't play. Oh wait, no, yeah, he didn't play last week. Had a bye, but he had 21 rushes for 87 yards and a touchdown. The last game he did play, which was against the Bengals in London, and Gruden basically said that Kelly is the new lead back, and that Matt Jones is going to have to work his way back up the depth chart. So unless Jones can solve the fumbling problems.
Which I doubt.
Yeah,
he
which
leads
I
the
doubt,
NFL with
'cause he's had a
fumbles.
problem. Yeah, he's had that problem since last year. I see Kelly taking over. He showed patience. He showed good vision. Was watching some of the game, and he looks like he can run well. And that offense is pretty potent. They get into the red zone a lot, so I think he has a lot of opportunities for touchdowns. Can capitalize there. So I think he's a good asset, not just for this week, but possibly going forward.
For sure, for sure.
Hold on, Pace. I gotta interrupt Bye Week Blues just to ask you why you would trade Julian Edelman for Marcus Mariota.
I traded that because I have Russell Wilson as my quarterback who needed replacing, and I'm deep at wideout, and Edelman hasn't done anything
Did
yet
you
this
watch
year.
Monday night? You think Russell Wilson needs to be replaced?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And Edelman is
I do.
in trouble.
or at least some sort of backup, man.
He
He's been
balled
sassing me.
out.
Just asking. I didn't see it until now. I was
Oh,
a little
really?
surprised. I had to ask. But if you're looking for a running back, it's a little riskier of a play. But he's back.
AP?
James Starks is back.
Whoa.
And James Starks, if he plays this week, is going to be in for a huge workload.
I don't know.
And I'm saying that because they have no running backs over there.
Mike McCarthy announced this week Ty Montgomery would be the running back for the rest of the year.
Really now?
Yeah.
Okay, don't pick up James Starks. Apparently, I didn't
James
see
Starks
that.
will still get a lot of backfield play,
I think James
but
Starks, when he comes
he
back,
won't be the
is gonna
starter.
Take it. Ty Montgomery he's
I think he's pretty good out of the
very
backfield.
versatile out of that, but I'd run him more as my third down back.
He's been running pretty well.
And I'm going to talk on Ty Montgomery, so I'm not going to stick on him a little later in the show. But I think James Starks is going to be able to steal that job. James Starks, when Eddie Lacy doesn't play, performs pretty well, and he's in a potent offense in Green Bay. So if he plays this week, why not give him a shot? There are some decent backs out this week.
Speaking of taking jobs, though,
Oh,
Paul Perkins in New York, another
Yeah.
guy you can go pick up. He's slowly but surely seems to be taking Rashad Jennings' job. They had the same amount of carries last week. Paul Perkins did a little more in the yardage department, so I think he's going to continue to see his role increase. And he's also their receiving third down back. So I think with his skill set and the way the Giants like to play, Paul Perkins could be a nice plug and play this week, especially against a team like Cincy, which does well against the run. This would be a nice little PPR back out there.
What did he have yards last week?
Paul Perkins had, I'm sorry about that, Craig.
It's all right.
He had 11 carries for 32 yards, which isn't great, but Rashad Jennings did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And then he had 3 catches for 15 yards out of the backfield. He had a 5.5 in fantasy.
It's not terrible, and they have been saying that they're going to be implementing him more into the offense every week, so
Definitely.
I think that that's a good pickup.
Anyone
Not
else
bad
have a
at
running
all.
back?
There's not much at running back, really.
You could pick up Tim Hightower. I know we talked about him last
Hightower,
week,
yeah.
but
Stud.
he's still only owning 54%.
Wow.
He should be owned in a lot more, man. He started last game.
He got
Yeah.
23 carries in the game.
Yeah.
He's-
He's outperformed. He's not outperforming
He did not outperform.
Mark Ingram,
He's out touching him.
but he is definitely out-touching.
And he also got himself a tug.
Tugs.
No.
Anybody who gets a tug.
Get a tug, and he's touched the ball at least 23 times the last 2 weeks. Against Seattle, rushed for 100 yards, 102 to be exact. And this week they play Denver, so he's already proved he can get the ball. He can run the ball on the ground against a good defense. So I know the Denver matchup is a little sketchy, but I think he's still going to get his yards and get his fantasy points for sure. Has a catch in each of the last 2 games too. Only one last week for 15 yards. But only 55%. That's a guy you could potentially pick up, and against a good defense, Ingram, who knows? Like, he could fumble again, and then that'll be it.
No, you're right. And
He'll
I
run
think
the
He
bench.
ain't fumbling.
I think Hightower's
might.
going to have a big fantasy
He
role
learned.
for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think that they said even if Mark Ingram steals the job back, which he may as well have done last week, they are going to give Tim Hightower a role because he was so effective while filling in.
And he was even effective last week as well as the
50
starter.
50% of leagues. This guy needs to be owned in at least 80%, if not by just all the Mark Ingram guys, just in case this happens again, which I don't think it will. But there goes your running backs, and we're going to move right into them wide receivers. This is a huge bye week for receivers. And I got a little interesting one for you guys.
What you got?
I'm going with the hometown boy, Dorial Greenback.
Oh.
But
Bold, guys.
everybody
Very
says
bold.
Everybody says bold. Atlanta's not going to have Trufant this week. Their
That's
number
music
one
to my
corner,
ears.
who is actually a stud, isn't going to be there. Dorial Green Beckham, a 6'3", 6'4" guy, is going to be playing backups. And that is why I like Dorial Green Beckham.
Okay.
Now, going across this, there's not much to look at. He had 5 catches for 55 yards against Dallas. Really wasn't there in the Giants game. But this week, like I said, no Trufant. They're going to be down, in my opinion, for most of the game, unlike the Giants game. I think Dorial Green Beckham's going to bring him back. I think this is going to be his breakout week. I've been waiting for it. He's so talented. I think this is the week you got. If you need somebody, maybe you look DGB's way.
Maybe. What percent owned is he? Do you know?
Oh, that's the best part
I'm
about
curious.
it. 6.7.
Okay.
You can go pick this man up in virtually every single league.
That's cool.
And he might ball out.
He might.
It's going to be... I have a feeling could be a high-scoring game.
It could be a high-scoring game, a lot of throwing. He does have that big old body, which is awesome. I love that in a wideout. So
Yeah.
I could see him getting a touchdown or 2 this week for sure, especially if there's going to be multiple scored.
Oh, no doubt.
Although it is in Philly, so it could be more of a defensive battle if you really think about it.
In Philly, maybe Dorial wants to stunt for the home crowd.
Maybe.
All right.
But that's a
yeah,
cool one.
Dorial Green Beckham. I'm going to give you that little bit of knowledge. So,
That's cool.
Come on. I love knowledge. Who's got another receiver for me?
I got a wideout. Kendall Wright for the Titans.
Ooh.
Yes.
He's owned in 10% of leagues. So you can go get him in pretty much any league available in over 90. Last week he had 2 catches for 64 yards, but he led the Titans in targets, which is a good sign. And they're on the road in Green Bay this week. So, I'm sorry, at home against Green Bay. Either way, the Titans are going to have to throw it, and I think Kendall Wright could have a bigger role than normal. He's usually their slot receiver. And with the way Mariota's been going to him lately, the week before, he had 4 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown against Jacksonville. He's got Green Bay and then Indy coming up, so I think you could play Kendall Wright for maybe the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
softer matchups right now.
Yeah, he's another guy with lower own percentage than he really should have. I like him a lot.
if you listen to the other episodes, you know I love Kendall Wright.
I'm surprised.
He was their number one receiver last
Yeah,
year.
he's a bit inconsistent, but he has performed pretty well in the season
He gets
overall.
he gets good games. I really should go get him now that I have Mariota. Go pick him up.
Oh yeah, I mean I picked up Palmer because I got John Brown. I love that connection.
No doubt.
Love the connections.
I got a wide out. If you're listening live, I think Steve Smith tonight could be a possible good play if you need someone last minute.
Definitely.
Very
Owned in 50. This is just at the border. Owned in 59%. But this is his game back. He didn't. No, he played in Pittsburgh last week. But I think he could have a good game tonight, just because of the opponent, the matchup. I think he'll get open, maybe score a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But also go take a look at Cole Beasley. I know we kind of talk about him every week. I feel like, but
Oh, he's a beast.
he's still owned in less than 60% of leagues, and
Which is just absurd to me.
yeah, that's absurd, especially if you're in PPR. But he's on like a little bit of a tear. What is this? Against Cincinnati, 4 catches, 50 yards, a touchdown. Green Bay, 6 catches, 50 yards, 2 touchdowns. Philly, 4 catches, 50 yards. Cleveland, 6 catches, 50, and a touchdown. So he's getting his 50 yards every single week. He's getting at least 4 catches a week, and usually gets a touchdown, maybe
4
2.
touchdowns the last 4 weeks. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and this week playing Pittsburgh. And it is in Pittsburgh, so it could be a tougher game. This might actually be a challenge for Dallas to get the win at all, but I think it's a good matchup for Beasley. And, you might not be able to get him 58% owned, but if you can, I would start him this week for sure.
Yeah. Cole Beasley's still looking like Dak Prescott's favorite receiver, even with Des Bryant back.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's what happens when you develop a connection over 10 weeks. Almost 10 weeks.
Very true, very true. Craig, you got us a wide receiver before we move on to these tight ends?
Wide receiver.
Love wide receivers, baby. And I need them.
Well, I was just trying to look to see that I don't pick someone I've already picked, but it's pretty slim.
You can pick this
pickings,
dude.
To be honest. I can't pick that. Okay.
Why can't you pick him, dude? He's only owned in 55%.
He's been picked multiple times.
He has been?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Yep.
He's a baller for real.
You could pick Kenny Britt or Brian Quick or Tavon Austin.
Yeah, why don't you name every player on the Rams for me?
You could
I
also...
can start any of them.
I love the
with a fat
Rams.
0.
Fat zero, come on, son.
I'll name
Yeah.
all of them, but I love the Rams.
I'm going to go real wild card.
Okay.
Real wild card.
I love wild cards, actually.
Hasn't found the end zone all season.
What?
Jesus.
But I'm expecting a breakout week.
Who's it going to be?
I'm interested.
Seattle Seahawks wide receiver. Jermaine Curse.
Oh, I
Wow.
thought I was going to be able to
TRBL.
gloat about my $5 I'm going to receive at the end of the season.
No. You're not going to get that.
Oh, I am.
It's going to be there, first of all. Second of all, Jermaine Kearse.
Mm-hmm.
Last time he played the Patriots was in the Super Bowl. And he ate cake.
Oh, the kid.
So much cake.
Too
This
much.
time,
He had that lucky old catch.
yeah, lucky luck, whatever. It still matters.
It bounced off its belly.
It don't matter. That's just one catch. So, he's going up against the Patriots again. They're still angry from not running Marshawn Lynch in from the 1-yard line.
And now they don't even have Marshawn.
They're going to need to reconcile, and Jermaine Curse is going to be the focal point of that. Read him in wheat. Owned in 2.9%. Yeah, lucky.
Wow. What a great pick.
Thanks, dude. I thought about it long and hard.
You're going to have to do some reckoning after recommending that pick to people, Craig. That's rude.
Reckoning. Well, that does it for the wide receivers. Let's move right on to the tight ends.
Okay.
And before anybody says them,
Nope.
I got you a tight end. I'm going with Zach Ertz.
No, not my tight end.
59.2, so he's just under that
I hate
60%
Babs.
mark we like
I
to
hate
stay
him.
under. That's why I picked another guy from Carson Palmer. And welcome back, Zach Ertz. 8 catches last week for 97 yards
You mean welcome.
against the
Dude,
Giants. 13 points in our league, 0.5 PPR. And he actually looked good for once. Instead of shying away from the ball, he actually attacked it. I like his matchup against Atlanta. I'm loving those Eagles' weapons this week. Like I said, that Atlanta offense is going to score. Philly needs to keep up. And Zach Ertz looked like a huge part of the offense this year. He looks healthy. I think he could be a real good start this week.
Yeah, Zach Ertz. He had a welcome last week. A welcome to the season.
Welcome back
What do you mean?
to
welcome
fantasy relevance.
back? Oh, don't give me that. I don't want to hear that. You
I
want to know
love
who else
that.
wants to come back from fantasy irrelevance?
Who's there?
Jared Cook does. But guess what? He's not going to. Because he sucked in St. Louis and he sucks on the Packers.
You know what? I was going to actually pick Jared Cook, and
Well,
then
that
I
would've been
saw
a
that
mistake.
Ertz was only 60%. I will say this. Tennessee does allow the 8th most fantasy points to
Yeah, so start Richard
tight
Rodgers.
ends, and Antonio Gates just got a fat 15 on my in my starting lineup. So
Like I said, start Richard Rodgers.
Richard Rodgers never catches the ball. Why does Aaron Rodgers want to keep throwing him the ball?
Bass, do you partake in,
I partake
activities?
in loving watching the Packers lose and Richard Rodgers not catching that many balls,
Because-
even though he caught 6 balls.
if you knew that, you would see what Richard Rodgers did last week, which was 6 for 64.
But did he win the game?
Doesn't matter about winning the game.
He dropped the
It
ball.
matters about being the tight end. That's all that it ever mattered.
All right, well, enough about Richard Rodgers. Anybody else got us some tight ends?
I
It
do.
can't all just
I
be
do.
Zach.
I got a
Okay.
real hot one.
Ooh.
Who we got?
Ladarius Green.
Ooh. I forgot he was even here.
For
I
the
think
Stella?
everyone did because he hasn't played in ages.
Literally
Due to
days.
I thought he
migraine-
retired.
Due to migraine problems, allegedly. But he is, he actually might not play this week.
He is back in practice, though.
Yeah, so he's off the PUP list, and he might see his first action this week against Dallas. Dallas doesn't have the best secondary, especially when it comes to defending tight ends. So I could see Ladarius Green being a strong play in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, which often finds himself in the red zone. And if you look at the way that Roethlisberger has used his tight end thus far, Jesse James,
Chester James.
then he already has 4 touchdowns, so you can see how Ladarius Green would pick up that slack. Plus, I can see him, he's definitely a better athlete. He's going to get yards with that, too, and more looks. So I think Ladarius Green's the best tight end that they've had in a while. I mean, Heath Miller's a great blocker, and he's good at possession receiver, but he's really slow. He never really gave that scary tight end effect off for Pittsburgh, so...
And Ladarius Green looked great when he got the chance in San Diego. I was really hyped on him this year. I drafted him, trying to hold on to him for a while. Unfortunately, it just turned into too long. I couldn't hold him on there. But Ladarius Green, if he plays this week, Dallas is going to have a problem in that middle of the field. He's so athletic, and he's massive.
Should be accurate.
I got another tight end.
Who you got?
Lance Kendricks of your LA Rams base.
Yes.
Finally, somebody
Finally.
said Pace's favorite player.
Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Slade, you're crazy. But he's coming off one of the best performances of his career. He had 7 catches for 90 yards against a somewhat stingy Carolina defense, especially against tight ends. So that was nice to see. He did have a bad touchdown drop at the end, so he could have had even more. But he's actually been semi-reliable this year. He's averaging
Probably
close
the
to
only
7 points a
reliable
game for a tight end, which, say what you want about that, that's not bad for how bad the tight ends have been this year.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he's versing the Jets this week, who have been absolutely awful. So I think you could do pretty good with him in your lineup. I'm predicting a touchdown for Lance Kendricks this week.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a good pick. He's been consistent lately. And Case Keenum fighting for his job this week, I think he'll be trying to make a lot of just easy open passes, and Lance will be involved.
Lance has kind of
most
been his
that.
go-to guy this year, so yeah, I could definitely
Yes,
see that
sir.
happening. Anyone else have a tight end?
Not really.
I do. It was the guy who was picked last week. Super no.
Don't pick Super No.
Super No!
He had that one
I
play.
already
Literally
picked somebody.
irrelevant.
I just wanted to say his name. He had no catches last week. He has 4 catches all season. But he has probably the best name in the NFL.
Super
No.
Would you guys play Austin Hooper against Philly?
I would consider it if Jacob Tammey doesn't play again.
Yeah.
I think he's
For
slotted
sure.
to play though, isn't he?
I don't
Big
know.
if-
I'm not sure.
I'm not
He's
sure.
questionable this week.
Hooper's projected more right now, at least.
If Tammy's projected.
Well, yeah, I haven't even seen Tammy on the
Yeah, I
list.
don't think that he might not be projected.
He might
for anything.
not be a bad play. He's been pretty athletic. He scored a
Yeah.
touchdown for them last week.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
drafted him in what, like the 3rd, 4th round?
Yeah,
they
they drafted
he
him
was
pretty
decent.
high.
He was a decent draft pick. Might
Yeah.
even been a 2nd round pick. I really don't remember, but he's an athletic guy, and they really want him to step up and take that spot from Jacob Tammey. guy who's been performing for Atlanta, but he's been a career backup pretty much every other year.
All right.
That's true.
That's enough tight ends.
Very true. We have a lot of teams to move on to.
We have a lot of other things to talk about.
Actually,
too.
we just have to wrap up.
I'm done
Bi-week
crying.
blues.
I think I'm done crying.
I am almost done crying. We got them defenses though. Come on now.
We can give a couple.
Pick up the Rams this week against the Jets. That's the best play.
That is interesting. I also like the Jets
If
against
they're
the
available, yeah.
Rams. Same game.
But listen,
Jets against the Rams is
Petty,
also a good play.
Bryce Petty likely to get his first career start.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should definitely get with the Rams defense this week if they're available.
Yeah, and what Bass said too is smart. Jets against the Rams defense. That's also a good play, I think.
There really isn't much here. The Packers defense has looked a little soft. I wouldn't really. Tennessee's a little hard to call. They've been really good, and then they've looked like crap pretty much.
Trash bags, you would say.
Can't go against Jay Cutler if I just picked him with the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers defense scares me too. Saints defense, there's really not much. But yeah, Jets and Rams. Look, if you need a defense, go look at that game.
I think either of those two Ds are going to get you 7, 8, 9 points.
Because a rookie quarterback and a bummy quarterback usually
Yeah.
means mad points for defenses.
Especially if it's a low-scoring game.
Anybody else got one for us before we move on to our new segment this week?
I think both the Texans and the Jaguars defense in that game, they verse each other Sunday at 1. I think either of them will be nice streams, personally. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I could see a few turnovers in the game, sacks for both teams.
Again, two bummy quarterbacks usually means mad points for defenses. But that wraps up bye-week blues this week. It's getting sassy. We got 2 more weeks, and there's literally just scraps
You're
lying
getting
on the
sassy.
floor. But, we're going to keep it in here until week 13. We're going to help you out each and every week.
Yes, sir.
But like I said, let's get into this new segment. And I'm liking this one. Buy or sell. Now, if you watched, Around the Horn does it, but we're going to switch it up a little bit. Are you buying these guys for cheap? Or are you selling them while you got the chance? I'm going to name some guys. You guys are going to let me know how you feel about them. And we'll start off just like bye-week blues. We're going to go with some quarterbacks. First one I want to talk about is Russell Wilson. Now, this is the 18th ranked quarterback in fantasy right now. His last 4 games are a little shocking. A 10, a 9, a 9. And then if you watch that Monday night game, he looked like Russell Wilson with a fat 30 points in standard fantasy leagues. He actually looked really good. Like I said, he was mobile against the Buffalo Bills. Then again, Buffalo is kind of a soft matchup to play. How are you guys feeling about Russell Wilson right now? Pace, I want to start with you. I know you got Russell Wilson. You buying him or are you selling him?
I'm thinking if you can sell him for some value, now is the time to do that, coming off a big game. I own him, but I traded for Mariota, but I'm going to still keep Russell on my roster, so I know that sounds a little hypocritical or whatever, but I picked up another quarterback, so I can kind of just leave him on the bench.
Mariota's been so hot, I can't blame you for doing that.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with that, but, I mean, this was Russell's first game back without that wrapped up crazy foot. He didn't have all that black tape on it, at least that I could see. And he was definitely mobile, got his first rushing touchdown of the season, did well in fantasy, passed for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air, no interceptions, and yeah, that 1 touchdown on the ground. So now, like I said, he finally does something, and I don't think he's that reliable this year, so now is a good time to sell high on him. Really, if you can get another quarterback, I would. He is capable of these games, but they're few and far between. This is his first time going above... or his second time all season going above 15 points in fantasy in our league specifically. But so 2 out of 10 weeks. I think they've had to buy 10 games. That's 2 times going above 15 in fantasy. You can't trust that. The Seahawks do start getting better second half of the year, so that might try to sway your mind. But this is fantasy. It's all about garbage time and stuff like that. So that's why I went out and got Mariota.
Yeah, and just looking at his schedule coming up, New England this week at New England. Then he has to go and play Philly, a tough matchup. Easy matchup against Tampa Bay. Then you got Carolina, Green Bay a little softer, LA, Arizona, and San Fran. I also would sell him. He has looked terrible. Like I said, Buffalo is a good matchup for quarterbacks trying to get back in the rhythm. I would sell him if you can get a decent amount of value for him.
Yeah. Anyone else disagree with that? You guys think you would keep him or keep starting him this week even against New England?
If it's the right value, like you guys said, I would probably get rid of him. But if not, if no one's sending me a trade for Russell, I think I'm just going to keep him. I'm going to hold on to him. The Seahawks they turn up at the end of the year. So does Russell. Towards the end of the year last year, through the last 6 games, he was the best quarterback overall.
Yeah.
And I believe he threw 12 touchdowns to 0 picks in that time frame. Doug Baldwin was also a big part of that, but I don't know. I think Russ is starting to get healthy. Like you said, he didn't have the wrap on this week.
Yeah.
And he could start being pretty effective fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I think, because that's what I'm doing. I'm holding him, and I agree with that. But I would get someone else to start this week. I don't really like the matchup against New England.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the matchups either, but I just feel like Seattle will stay in all of these games.
Yeah.
So Russ still has a chance to put up a lot of numbers.
Right. You're really right, dude. It's hard to put him on the bench because many ways he can
despite
score.
his struggles, he's still the 18th ranked fantasy quarterback. So, I don't know. I think I might be buying Russ still.
Yeah. Craig, buying or selling him?
Agree, disagree.
I'd keep him because of last season. So stick with it. Don't be scared.
Looked great last week. That's all I can say.
Any other QBs?
Yeah, Carson Palmer. Talked about him a little bit ago. Now, this is the 19th, right behind Russell Wilson, same division. He has only scored 18-plus points twice this season, and he has multiple touchdown games in 3 of 7 games. He was hurt for that San Francisco game. I like him this week, but looking at the schedule, you know what? I'm going to buy into Carson Palmer. I'm going to buy into him coming back. Yeah. You know why? Because after that injury, he played the Jets, a little bit of a trap game. The Jets were better, and I don't like starting the players right off the injuries. Seattle, nobody does anything against Seattle. But then Carolina, 363 yards, 3 touchdowns for 28 points. Coming off the bye, he plays San Francisco. Minnesota, who just got whooped on by Chicago Bears. Now looking like a beatable defense. Atlanta, they're beatable. Washington, besides Norman, really don't have anybody. Miami, New Orleans, I'll keep naming them. But I think Carson Palmer's finally finding his groove this season. He's going to start finding those receivers. I think that if you got Carson Palmer, give him a chance. Why not? Look what he did last year. He's a good quarterback. I'm going to buy him.
He is a good quarterback, but I don't buy him. I think there are better options. He's in a tough division. I would try to find someone else. He's been on our waivers for a while now. I don't know why you just picked him up. That was crazy. Are you starting him? Are you starting him?
I have to start him.
Yeah.
Andrew
You don't have to.
Who's he playing? Who are they playing?
They're playing San Fran. San Fran's trash.
Yeah, he could have a good
Coming
game.
off the bye, I think
Trash
Carson
guys.
Palmer has a real big game against San Fran.
Word.
Start him only based on
At
matchup.
home, ooh.
Only because he is San Fran.
Yep.
You're selling him? You're selling Carson
I think
Palmer
I'm
after
also
that
selling Carson, man.
28-point game?
I just think there's a lot of other quarterbacks in fantasy that you could do better with.
Yeah.
Carson has been very inconsistent. He had that concussion already, and he's not he plays 16 games every season. He tends to be injury prone, Carson Palmer. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm trusting him going forward.
I personally drafted Carson. Guy's a bum.
A miserable
A
bum.
miserable bum. He started out the season with 18 and 24, and I thought I made a great decision. Then next week, he took a poop on my face. Started him, got me a 3. I think the only quarterback who's performed worse than that this season was Ryan Fitzpatrick when he threw 6 interceptions, which is just unheard of. So, if you want the bottom scraps, the pit of crap, go ahead and get that Carson Palmer. Otherwise, I'd look for another option. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, all right.
Well said. Let's
Not many people buying Carson Palmer stock this week.
No.
But that's all right. That's why it's called buy or sell. We can do either one.
We're not selling him. We're cutting him.
Any other QBs?
That's all the quarterbacks I had. I wanted to talk about Big Ben, but realistically, Big Ben is a
Keep
top
Big Ben.
five-
I'm buying Ben.
He's a top 5 quarterback. He's a little hurt right now. He's going to go back to being Big Ben. So
Big Benji?
that
I
wraps
love
up the
Big Benji.
quarterbacks. Let's talk about some running backs, and I'm going
All
to
right.
start with a guy. It's more of a if you can. I'm not saying
Let's do
sell him. If you can, if somebody's willing to sell him, do you buy Todd Gurley right now? Now, I'm saying this because Todd Gurley
I would say no.
was one of the top picks this year. Right now, he's sitting at 23rd in fantasy. He only has 2 double-digit games this year. His season high in yardage is an 85, and only has a touchdown in 2 out of 8 games. This is a guy that people, like I said, drafted so highly, and really has not come to perform. Now, I'm not selling Gurley based off of the fact on who he is and who he was last year. But I know some people love to panic. Are you buying Gurley right now? Anybody?
I'm buying him very low.
Very low.
I would like to acquire. Maybe not as my number 1 running back going forward, but as a 2 to flex position.
Mm-hmm.
If someone's willing to give him up for a decent price, yeah. I'll buy low on Todd Gurley. Can't sell him. He's too talented.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. You also buy low. Definitely buy low because no one should be asking that high of a price for a guy who hasn't put much numbers up. But he's been slacking lately. Last 3 games, only 14 carries, 15 carries, and 12 carries. But Jeff Fisher has said that they need to get him the ball more, and they're going to focus on that. So this week against the Jets, that's a tough matchup. I don't even know if I would start him this week. Although I do expect to see an increase, see him somewhere in that 20, 21, 22 range for carries, hopefully. And then after that, this is why you want to buy him, because you're looking towards the playoffs at this point of your season. And Rams have a pretty favorable matchup coming up, at least in terms of running defenses. After the Jets, they play the Dolphins, then the Saints, then the Patriots, and then the Falcons. So there's some opportunity there for him to actually start turning his season up, especially if now they're going to focus on getting him more looks. And if Jared Goff ends up starting relatively soon, I only see that meaning more work for Gurley, because they're probably going to try to ease Goff in there. So he's not going he's going to be coming out throwing a lot. The reason why Gurley isn't getting the carries is because Keenum is throwing 35, 40, sometimes 50 times per game. So Gurley isn't getting those looks. But if Goff comes in, which I do expect that soon, Gurley is going to get all the more carries. You'll see him 23 again per game, and he'll be getting fantasy points.
You know, I don't want to talk about it, but I'm definitely getting rid of Gurley if I got him.
I like this.
And there's a lot of reasons behind this. Mainly, I want to talk about the carries he gets. So, this man has been fed multiple meals this season.
Oh my god.
Only to just leave food on the plate.
What?
Leave chicken on the bone.
Oh my-
Not rip it down to the core.
Wasteful.
Wasteful is correct. Let's go to a game against Tampa Bay, where Todd Gurley had 27 carries. Now, what would you predict his amount of rushing yards would be? Because that sounds like almost a season high for a player.
27 carries for Todd Gurley.
Yes.
Probably hovering around $150.
You would assume around $150. That's what I would assume. I would assume anywhere from 120 to 150 probably.
Yes.
He got 85 yards. 85 yards. That's way below 4 yards per
I
carry.
think it's like 2.7.
Yes, it's terrible. It's terrible. And let's go to another game where he had over 20 carries. Buffalo, 23 carries. Same algorithm. 72 rushing yards. No type of production on the ground. He did get a couple of touchdowns. He had 2 in 1 week, and he had 1 against Buffalo. But that's it. 3 touchdowns on the season. 3 touchdowns out of 8 games.
Interestingly
ain't
enough,
enough.
though, in the games where they give Gurley at least 20 carries, he scored in both games.
Oh, yeah, that is
I
interesting.
was just going to say,
The only games he gets tugs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
If you do look, every game where they give him at least 20 carries, he's doing well in fantasy. And they're going back to that now. Jeff Fisher just said he's getting more looks. So
He said, or they did that in last game because it looked like he only had 12 carries.
I know, well, that's why- I know.
In a close game.
Well, that confuses me, though, because then in 2 weeks here, he has 19 carries for 51 yards and for 33 yards. So does it really make a difference if he's getting more carries? That was my whole point.
I think it does. I think
The more looks he gets, does it really matter at this point? The offensive line has been
It was
abysmal
against
in
Seattle
run
and
blocking.
Arizona in those 2 occasions.
That's
They were
true.
Tough defenses.
That's true, and they probably went down early, so they
Although-
had to abort running. Oh wait,
All right.
there's 19 carries.
Let's move along. I am a
Todd Gurley.
So
I buy.
Buy low if you can.
Okay, real quick, because I want to keep going with this one. You have to give up Spencer Ware. Do you buy Todd Gurley?
I would keep wherever Gurley.
I'm
this
eating
point.
with Ware
Oh,
all
yeah.
season.
Ian Ware? Okay.
Yeah, I think Spencer Ware's going to finish as a top 10 back.
Easy.
I'm also going to keep Ware. Spencer Ware was looking great. Just wanted to see where you guys were at. So our next running back, and
Fresh off the concussion.
looking
Start
like
Spencer Ware
our
this
last
week.
running back, actually. Jeremy Hill, 21st running back this year. But his last 2 games, very inconsistent, man. I will say that. I have him sitting on my bench right now, just waiting. But his last 2 games, 24 points and 13 points. This year he has 3 double-digit games out of 8. I want to ask you guys, because I want to know, should I sell or keep Jeremy Hill?
Sell.
I also sell.
Let me start this off.
Go ahead.
All right. The reason that I'm selling is solely because of his counterpart in the backfield, Gio Bernard.
Gio.
Gio is the 24th ranked running back. And you can see the main reason behind Jeremy Hill being above him was that big game where he scored over 20 points.
Mhm.
But if you look at Gio Bernard, since week 5, he's had 10 or more points in fantasy. That's very solid for a running back. He went 12, 10, 14 and a half, 12 and a half. And the last 2 games, he only had 1 reception, which is very odd for him. 1 reception for 7 yards, 1 reception for 14 yards. He usually gets like 4 to 6 receptions, so it gets you around 30, 40 receiving yards. Not even doing that. He's doing the bulk of the rushing. So the last 2 games, he had 17 rushes for 80 yards and 11 for 52.
Not bad at all.
Gio's been seeing 60% of the team's snaps, and that's obviously because he's the third down back. So I think you get rid of Hill now while he's on the high end because he's shown you that he can get those solid 3s and 4s all the other weeks.
All right. Yeah.
For sure. I think you could go get a solid flex play for Jeremy Hill right now.
Yeah,
I
Jeremy
would definitely
Hill.
sell him.
I don't know if I'm really behind the hype. Like I said, very inconsistent. It seems every time I tried to start him, he put up a 3. Every time I sat him on my bench, he puts up a 20. If you can go get some, if you need a receiver and you can get somebody decent for a guy like Jeremy Hill, you can let somebody who's riding that hype. I'd definitely sell Jeremy Hill right now.
I also sell Jeremy Hill while he's on a little bit of a hot streak. I think you sell him.
All right, cool.
You guys want to ask our questions?
A question?
I have a question to ask.
I have
Do you
a-
have a question to ask?
I have multiple questions if we want to get this lineup stuff involved.
Do you mind if I get my question in real quick just because it concerns the Thursday night game?
No, go ahead.
Ask
go
away,
ahead.
of course.
All right. Mike Thomas against Denver or Terrell Pryor tonight against Baltimore?
Terrell Pryor. He sees nothing but volume.
He does see a lot of volume, although Mike Thomas has been extremely
I
reliable.
know, and it's in.
And Drew Brees is
New
his
Drew Brees has been
quarterback.
also a fiend under the dome. I think he has like 20 touchdowns.
The game's in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're both decent plays.
With the
but-
Keep Talib still banged up, I might still go with Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Although,
Not a bad option.
I think he does majority play out of the slot. That's where Chris Harris lies.
Well, yeah, I thought Chris Harris. usually just covers their fastest receiver. That should be Brandon Cooks. If they don't put
Thomas
Chris
isn't
Harris
slow,
on
though.
Brandon
He's a hell of a
Cooks,
player.
though, if they don't put Chris Harris on Brandon Cooks, they're crazy.
They
I'd
could
say
put Roby on.
as long as Talib is banged up still, I'd go Michael Thomas in that situation. Kid's been
I'm
balling.
going with my gut. I'm putting Pryor in.
Follow the
Right.
gut.
I just think
leads
he's
to
scoring a
victory.
touchdown.
You got to follow the gut. It always leads to victory. I swear.
Yeah, I think it's that time of the season that I can't outsmart myself.
No doubt. You don't want to do that.
We'll see what happens, though. I might even end up putting someone else on the bench for Mike Thomas later.
All right, so before we get back to buy and sell, any other fantasy experts need help on our show?
Yeah, I mean, I do.
All right, expert, let's hear it.
I want to know if you guys like J.J. Nelson starting against San Fran with Arizona at home.
Mm-hmm.
Just been named the number 2 wideout for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or Corey Coleman tonight against the Baltimore, who is the worst secondary against receivers in fantasy. Coleman is averaging 20 yards per target, and he has gotten the same amount of targets. I mean, he's only been back 1 week, but he got the same amount of targets as Pryor last week. Kessler can't really air it out as well as McCown can. So, I mean, it kind of makes me nervous about him being the deep threat that he really is.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, that's what's got me tossed up.
I'll tell you right now, if Bruce Aaron is true to his word, and I saw all the love he was giving to J.J. Nelson this week. I'm starting J.J. Nelson, especially that weak matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. I like the Baltimore's defense a lot more than I like the Niners. And it's so hard. I understand it's Corey Coleman. He balled out his first game. He is a really promising young rookie. But I'm going to give the nod to J.J. Nelson. Bruce Arians loves that man. I think he's going to eat cake. Him and John Brown, I think, are going to have big weeks this week.
That'd be a lot.
I think it's just
I
going
would
to be a
probably
lot of
also go
Cardinals
Nelson, Craig, but that requires you to put your faith in the hands of Carson Palmer.
I know, and we all know I don't like that.
We know I love Carson Palmer.
Although Cody Kessler is a rookie, and
Also, the Niners have allowed, I don't know if you guys
On the
noticed this,
road.
the Niners defense has allowed like 120 plus rushing yards the last 8 weeks, which is insane to running backs.
that has
So
to be
I can
a
see,
record.
it must be,
That's
because
awful.
I can see David Johnson just taking over the game and kind of limiting the potential at the wide receiver play. Whereas
Well,
the
you
Browns
know
are gonna
Cleveland's
have to
gonna
be coming
trail in the
back.
game, exactly.
They're going to be coming back the whole time, so that's kind of where I'm falling in between. But that's what happens when you start overthinking these things.
Craig, I was looking at Coleman's stats, and one
Yeah.
of the only few games he completed this year was against Baltimore, and he had 5 catches for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Which makes it that much more harder to leave him on the bench tonight.
So I don't know about all that. He's also available.
And I
in
also
my
like
league,
having
so
someone
I'm
playing
adding
on a
him
Thursday night
currently.
because what'd you say?
Said I'm adding him in a league.
I thought you already added him.
What you know about it?
All right.
Wow, J.J. Nelson is available. Acquired.
That's
I,
great.
I would also
We're
go
getting-
J.J. Nelson.
Yeah, J.J. Nelson. We're going back to buy or sell. Enough of that nonsense.
Sash, you don't have any
You guys are
questions?
you guys are experts.
Bass, you
don't have
definitely
any
have
We
questions.
answer experts. We don't ask
You
questions.
definitely have questions.
Who's asking questions?
You are.
I set my fantasy lineup every Monday or Tuesday when it's allowed, and I make the right decisions.
That's bold.
So says my 3-6 record. But moving on, we got some wide receivers, and this is where it gets meaty in the buy or sell. I got you some big name receivers that it's more, hey, you could either buy or sell these guys. And we're going to start off with the 32nd wide receiver,
Okay.
Allen Robinson. 3 games, double-digit points this year, a big drop-off. He does have 4 touchdowns, though. Not as much as last year. He's definitely fallen off. And I don't know why I'm about to say this, but if you can go and get Allen Robinson, I'd pick him up. Again, with what he was last year, Allen Robinson is going to start eating cake. He recently has really been picking up his stuff with Blake Bortles. He's got a really tough schedule, so they're going to be down all year. They're always passing the ball. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who are they going to throw it to? Because Hearns got hurt last week.
He back.
Allen Robinson.
He back, man. Made a
Just
steal.
because he's back doesn't mean he doesn't feel great.
Go out and
I'm
buy
buying him.
Al.
How you feeling? Buy
Go out
Al.
and buy Al.
You gotta buy him. I mean, how many targets did he have last?
He's a target monster.
Yeah, he had
Blake Bortles will get his head on straight with Allen Robinson, and they'll get it figured out, and it'll probably be quickly.
he had 11 targets last week.
They don't have a terrifying schedule coming up. They do play Denver and Minnesota back-to-back. Other than that, they don't face another top passing defense. Houston might actually be a rough one this weekend, but I don't know. I like A-Rob. I think he's going to have a big week, man. He's the kind of receiver that can beat any corner.
And it's perfect.
He's big, physical, fast.
He's underperforming like crazy.
He's been getting open. He just hasn't been necessarily getting looked
He's either
at.
dropped
or-
the ball or the ball's been overthrown.
Well, Bortles is so inaccurate right now. It's not even really his fault.
No, it really isn't. A lot of the throws have been on Bortles.
We saw the video of that touchdown. That was Robinson, right?
Yeah.
On that, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a wide open touchdown.
On a
It was
double move.
bad throw.
Yeah, with his ability to create a big play, I think Allen Robinson's still worth having going forward in the
Absolutely.
season.
He's a stud.
And if you can go out and acquire him, I would.
He is a stud, but in fantasy, I don't think I would ever start him. I would not trust him.
That's risky biz.
Guy averages
How
over
could you?
double digits still.
Averages,
Struggling.
but what's he really getting, like, game by game?
Well, that
Enough.
would be his average, and that would be 10 points a game.
Oh, God.
So, lots of buys for Allen Robinson. We're going to go one spot down. We're going to go with Alshon Jeffrey. Just talked about him a little bit. This 33rd receiver. He has 2 games double-digit points, so less than Allen Robinson. 1 touchdown, 3 less than Allen Robinson. But unlike Allen Robinson, his 5 out of his 8 games have been for 70 yards plus. And Jay Cutler's back. Looking at his schedule right now, after that bye, Tampa Bay, New York Giants, Tennessee, San Francisco, Detroit, Green Bay, Washington, Minnesota. Jay Cutler loves Alshon Jeffrey, so guess what? I love Alshon Jeffrey. This is the perfect time to buy Alshon Jeffrey. If you can go get him right now before he starts this literally cakewalk to end the season, do it right now. If you have a trade for Alshon Jeffrey sitting in your trade queue, and it's just been sitting there for a day and you haven't pressed the button yet, go press it right now.
Yeah.
I'm buying him low and I'm reaping the rewards. How you guys feeling about Alshon?
I'm making a trade for him as we speak. You convinced me. I did look at that schedule, and that looks favorable.
It's beautiful.
And Jay Cutler's probably going to at least try to keep his job out. Like, he doesn't really try at anything, it looks like, but...
Is Matt Barkley going to take his job?
I don't think he wants that.
Brian Hoyer's is probably out for the season with the broken forearm. Matt Barkley ain't stealing no jobs from nobody.
You think I should trade Marvin Jones for Alshon Jeffrey?
Yes. I don't think anybody would take Marvin Jones for Alshon Jeffrey. If you had Golden Tate like I do, maybe you could go get him. That. But Alshon Jeffrey, he's after that 14 points, you might have to give up a little something better than Marvin Jones.
What do you guys think about this man?
Hold on, if we're talking trades about Alshon Jeffrey, I'll talk to you after the show, kid.
You don't own Alshon Jeffrey, do you?
Oh, wait. You don't have Alshon Jeffrey.
I'm starting Corey Coleman.
You're starting Corey Coleman?
I am.
Wow, I'm starting Pryor.
Wow.
Breaking
Two Browns
news.
starting in the same.
I hope they both put up one since you keep interrupting us.
Yep.
All right, moving right along.
Nope.
This is an interesting one. And Pace, this is why I asked you the question. How about Julian Edelman? 55th receiver this year. Tom Brady's been back like, what, 5 games now?
The whole season.
He has 0 double-digit games, and his only 70-yard-plus game this year came with Garoppolo.
Got him.
How you feeling? Are you selling Edelman?
I'm feeling like I don't know where you got your numbers from.
The fantasy app.
It says here he has multiple double-digit games.
That's not Jules.
But I actually agree with you, so I'm sorry for
Who are
calling
you
out.
looking at? Because it's not Julian Edelman, is it?
Yeah.
Multiple double-digit
10.5 to start the season, and then just got
standard. Our league is to 0.5. I look at it all standard.
Standard, your point stands. And
Who's
I'm sorry.
playing standard these days?
Yeah,
Nobody.
I don't know.
Loses.
Nobody.
People who don't
play
like the
standard.
sport playing.
We gotta
People suck in the
We gotta
90s.
love everybody.
But that just depends on your situation. I was deep at wideout, didn't need him. He doesn't put up enough for me to start him every week. I don't trust him. Tom Brady has too many options. What do you guys think?
Well, I still think with his potential, he warrants a potential flex play every week. I'm selling Julian Edelman. If you can get, you could probably still get some good value back. He's still, in theory, Tom Brady's #1 threat. Although with Gronk back in full strength, I don't know. It's probably Gronk, but I don't know. I still like Julian Edelman, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm going
with how it's looking, I would probably bench him.
I'm going the complete opposite way of you guys. If you can go and trade Marcus Mariota, because you can go find solid quarterbacks and stream the quarterbacks from the wire. If you can trade Marcus Mariota, Pace, for Julian Edelman, Tom Brady's favorite receiver, and it's just a matter of time, I feel like, before Julian Edelman comes back to his full potential, go get Julian Edelman. If you have Marcus Mariota, why not just try it? How you feeling, Craig?
I think Jules has been playing very under par from what I was expecting. I was actually going to draft him. Then the slime ball to my left took him. But it's worked out in my favor so far. I can't really complain. However, I just think that the Patriots offense is too versatile. There's way too many weapons on there. You got Gronk, you got Martellus Bennett, you got Jules, you got Amendola, you got Hogan, you got Deion Lewis coming back, you got LeGarrette Blount. There's just too many mouths to feed, and not everybody's going to be able to eat every week. I think it's going to be a rotation between those core guys of who really gets fantasy points. I think it's going to split every week. About 3 of those guys are going to go off, the other 3 aren't. So I think it's too dicey to play him. I'd get rid of him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And last receiver, touch on him real quick. How about Dez Bryant? 65th receiver. He's been hurt a lot, but when he came back with that cakewalk of a matchup against Cleveland, he only had 1 catch for 19 yards. But at the same time, in the 3 games out of the 5 he's played, he does have double-digit points. Are you selling Dez Bryant right now after that? Such a sassy outcome against the Cleveland Browns.
Why would I sell Dez Bryant when Tony Romo was about to come back?
Great point.
Ooh. You know what? I like that Tony Romo thing because I want to talk about that
Bold.
later. But
bold.
so you're keeping.
Des said he's been throwing missiles out there at practice. You know how Des likes to stir that
Probably
pot.
right to the defense.
You know how
Tony
Des likes to
Romo's
stir
trash.
that pot, get everybody on one side. You know, get a
He likes
little
to
argument.
smoke that pot.
Probably.
And
A lot of
knowing
NFL players do.
knowing Jerry Jones, he could teeter back to Tony Romo, his man crush
Tony
Monday
Romo.
every single day. I think he'll end up going to Tony Romo. In that case, I'm keeping Dez. But if you can go buy him for cheap, especially after that, a lot of people are mad about that game. That should have been his coming back party, a guy like Dez Bryant. Dak Prescott really hasn't looked his way. He more looks towards Wynn and Cole Beasley, unfortunately, with how talented Dez Bryant is. If you can go buy him for cheap, I think Dez Bryant, especially if Tony Romo comes back, you will be eating for days.
Yes, I'm buying Des Bryant. He went off against Philly. He had I think 15 targets against them his first week back, and then last week they were up 21-0 before Cleveland could blink. They didn't really need Des Bryant last week, so I think going forward he'll still be a big part of their offense and what they want to do. So and when Tony Romo comes back, Des is gonna retain his top 10 receiver status again. So yeah, I'm keeping Dez or going out and trying to maybe buy him low as well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up the farm for Des Bryant.
Yeah, I think you either keep him or buy him low. I don't think if you have him, you sell him because I don't think you get much for him. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and that wraps up wide receivers right there. There's a lot of big names who have really been underperforming this week. This year. But I do see Alshon Jeffrey coming back. I love Alshon Jeffrey. So the tight ends, I could only really think of two guys. And they just happen to be on both be on the same team. So you're going to have to buy one, and then you're going to have to sell one. And that's Antonio Gates and Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry, will start off with him. He's the fourth tight end. 3 double-digit games. His last 3 games, though, after starting off so hot fire to begin the season, 1 point, 1 point, and then he was out with injury last game. Meanwhile, the 18th ranked tight end, Antonio Gates, while he only has 1 double-digit game, he has 4 touchdowns and leads tight ends in targets since week 5. Phillip Rivers, now that Antonio Gates is starting to look a little healthier this year, has been eating cake. I'm buying Antonio Gates and I'm selling Hunter Henry, just like everybody has been doing. I just looked at Hunter Henry today, thought it would still be owned in a lot of leagues. Only 30% and 16% has dropped him recently. I'm buying Gates. What are you guys thinking?
I think I'm feeling the same way, man. Antonio Gates, that's still one of the favorite targets of Phillip Rivers. He still looks for him a ton in the red zone. With Hunter banged up, I think he is going to lose his spot, at least for the rest of this season. When he gets healthier, they'll probably still use a lot of them 2 tight end sets. But I think with Gates and Rivers' connection still, he's the tight end to own on that team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going the other way.
Going with Hunter?
Yeah.
Hunter Henry.
He's proven that he can be a starting tight end in this league. He was Phillip Rivers' favorite target for 3 straight weeks before he got the concussion. Had double-digit points in fantasy all those weeks. I think they're just waiting for him to get healthy, and then he's going to regain the lead. I mean, it's only logical. Antonio Gates is about done. It's the end of the road.
But he is a Hall of Famer. You got to give him that until he hangs up the cleats. He's still heading for the Hoff, baby.
Yeah, he is, but I know I can get more production out of a 22-year-old.
Very true. No, like I said, Hunter Henry looked amazing to begin the season.
He is a stud, but he has to get healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pace. Who you buying, who you selling? Wrap us up.
You start Antonio Gates week to week because he's been the guy recently, but I think you keep an eye, maybe put him on your watch list, Hunter Henry. If he's only owned in 30%, I think he's probably not owned in your league. You could just keep an eye on him. If Gates gets hurt or something like that, you go and make that claim in the future, but you got to go with Gates week to week right now. Hunter Henry, you either stash him or keep an eye on him. Just keeping an eye for that Gates injury that may come.
I'm sorry. I thought this was buy or sell, not buy or keep on your bench until you don't feel like buying Antonio Gates anymore.
Oh, well,
who are you
officially
selling?
Then, Right now, currently, you got to sell Hunter Henry and buy Antonio Gates, but you might want to buy Hunter Henry too for the future.
You might just want to buy everybody. I'm just kidding.
Why not?
That-
If they're available.
That's going to wrap us up for that. I like to buy or sell. And the trade deadline's coming up pretty soon.
What is our deadline?
Our deadline is the last week. I don't know if it's the standard. I don't remember. We set
there's no deadline?
we set the trade that. Well, you can't trade during the playoffs.
You can't?
That's what I like. I'm a
It's
cool
like,
commissioner.
It's like Thanksgiving or something.
Okay.
It's like right before the end of the year. It's like right before we get into playoffs or something.
So literally
but I
3
changed
weeks.
that like 5 years ago when we started it up. So I don't know what the technical one is, but I know it's coming close.
I'll technically smack.
But yeah, that does it. Maybe we'll bring back buy or sell next week. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe I'll
that's not-
sell your ass
not-
and then we'll move on to something else.
Don't sell me.
Yeah.
But we are gonna move on to something else.
Oh, yeah?
I got a couple hot topics for you guys.
What?
And all this talk about Des Bryant, it got me thinking. Tony Romo. Does Tony Romo deserve a roster spot now that he's healthy?
No.
You don't think
Fantasy?
you don't think he's gonna take
Oh, in
Dak?
No, don't
And
get
fantasy
me wrong.
FUBU?
Yeah, no.
No, definitely not. The only
Not
way
yet.
that Romo is going to get back into that starting role is if Dak starts to regress and the Cowboys start losing games.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they're not going to mess up the chemistry.
We'll see. I mean, Jerry Jones is wishy-washy and he loves him some Romo. I think I think you should at least, if you have that empty roster spot, at least put him on there. Tony Romo has proven that he can run this offense, and with the number one running game in the league and that O-line, if Tony Romo gets a chance to start, don't miss out on him, especially with playoffs coming up.
Yeah, he's another guy I would keep on the watch list for now. And as soon as he's game ready, maybe pick him up real quick.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Next one's a little more funny than actually true, but they're ruining the NFL. Are the refs also ruining fantasy football?
Refs are ruining everything. My life.
Refs take back so many good rushing plays because of holding, which I'm not blaming the refs for it, but flags in general, oh my gosh, my poor heart.
Dude,
And look
there's
how many-
holding on every play.
Look how
They
many
call holding every
touchdowns have
play.
been
I know.
taken back
Seems like
this
they
year.
do, though.
Yeah, it does.
I forget the player, but I remember watching 2 touchdowns called back on this man. He would have had a 3-touchdown night. Cannot recall his name for the life of me. The refs are ruining fantasy football right now. Everything I love about the NFL is being ruined by the referees. Get full-time refs. That's all I'm
Do you
saying.
have a specific example, or any of you, this
I do.
season where a ref
Did
actually
you watch
threw
Monday
something?
Night Game?
Absolutely.
No, I'm
Did
saying
you watch
you
any of
I'm
it?
saying you specifically.
I have a specific example.
You do?
I had C.J. Anderson a ways back when he versed the San Diego Chargers the first time. He had a
That's the dude I
collective-
was just thinking of.
He had a collective of 12.5 points removed from me in our half-point PPR league. And he had an touchdown revoked at the end of the game for holding. And he had 40 rushing yards pulled back for 2 other holding penalties. So, yes, I've been directly affected by these horrible calls. And it leaves me angry, confused, frustrated. I can't take it anymore, honestly, these refs. They need to get younger people in. Why are we having 40, 50-year-old men try to keep up with 20-year-old studs who run 4.3s and think that they can see the plays that are going on? It just doesn't make any sense. There needs to be younger refs in all sports leagues. I don't understand this wisdom thing that people think they have going on with the elderly wisdom. Doesn't apply to sports when you're going to referee.
That's what I'm saying. You make enough money. You make billions of dollars. Why can you not pay, even if you don't go younger, why can you not pay full refs who can focus, have their full-time job be refereeing,
The NFL is the
focus
only
on
league
all
that
the
doesn't
calls,
have that.
and why can't you review, not everything, but why can't you review, like, there's stupid penalties that somebody fumbles just because there's a penalty called on the field. Oh, God forbid.
Yeah.
We can't review this now. You need to get full-time refs. They are ruining fantasy. I'm always going to come back to fantasy because I
running the
love
NFL, it's
fantasy.
terrible.
All right, let's get the next couple
Next
topics
one,
in quick, 'cause
Saints
we got-
backfield. I'm already on it. I already know. Saints backfield. Who's the back moving forward? Hightower had a good game last week. It was like over 100 yards and a touchdown. But Mark Ingram might have stole his job back with 159 rushing yards, a long 75 rushing yard TD,
How do you steal your
rushing
job back?
TD, and
How
a
do you
receiving.
wake up dead, dog?
How do you wake up dead?
You
How do
can't
you
wake
steal
up
your
dead.
job
You can't
back?
steal your job back.
You can steal your job back. I think
You
the
just
guy
get it
going
back.
back
You don't
is
steal it
Mark
back.
Ingram. I think Sean Payton saw what he did last week. Mark Ingram knows he can't drop that ball or he's not going to get in the game. I think Mark Ingram's going to clean it up and he's going to go back to looking great. That said, he did play the Niners last week. Anybody else agree with me? Disagree with me? How you feeling? Who's the back to in this backfield?
I agree that it's Mark Ingram. I think Hightower getting more carries than him is only going to last for a short period, especially if Mark keeps running the way that he ran last game. And I just think he has a better skill set, especially for the Saints offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would take him going forward.
Yeah, I agree. It's Ingram, but I think this week at least, or weeks coming forward, you could play both of them in fantasy.
Oh,
But
easily.
I think
They're
for the
both going to
Saints-
get work.
Yeah, as long as Hightower continues to see some of the goal line looks, I think he's also worthy of a fantasy spot. The Saints offense has been rolling as of late,
And Denver looked beatable last week. Why not? Why not these?
especially on the ground.
Yeah. Why not? Craig,
What's up?
who's back to go with before we move into our last hot topic?
I don't know, honestly. Ingram's the better goal line back, but Hightower gets more carries. I think it's really too questionable to figure out at this point. But if I had to pick one and go with my gut, I would say Ingram. But like you said, if he fumbles again, I think that Sean Payton's kind of a dick for a coach. So I think he's going to pull him.
Yeah, send him out after 3 rushes. I mean, it worked, but whatever. And he's the receiving back. And he likes to throw the ball, apparently.
No,
I
think it's time
just-
to
I
go
think it's
deep.
a Hail
Just
Mary.
no. We got one more. One more.
Do it quick.
Marvin Jones fantasy relevant anymore. First 3
Yes.
weeks, 51 point standard leagues. Last 6, 35. Now looking
That's your
at that,
better
these are all
options.
standard. Let me
Start 'em.
reiterate this. Golden Tate the last 4 weeks, 22 points, 9 points, 4 points, 13 points. That equals 48 points. So he has outscored Marvin Jones by a lot in the last 6 weeks. Do you still like Marvin Jones? I have them both. I'm starting Golden Tate rest of the season.
Marvin Jones, give me your ring. No, I love him. I think he's just on a cold slump right now. But keep him on your bench because he's got some good matchups coming up for playoff time, and the Lions throw the ball a lot. So I say keep him. I'm keeping him. I'm not starting him, but I'm keeping him.
So I thought he was Calvin 2.0. So you're saying keep Calvin 2 points? As in he only scores 2 points in fantasy unless he gets a touchdown?
Well, yeah, unless he goes for
Interesting.
35 points, I guess.
Yeah, unless which he hasn't done in 6 weeks.
True.
Interesting.
You're right, dude.
I like debating.
I'm not getting rid of Marvin Jones. He still puts up a touchdown every now and then, but I think Golden Tate is now the receiver to own. For
That's
the
right. That's
Lions.
it.
That's the guy. Yeah.
All right, yeah, we're getting rushed. Craig, you want to add something in before we toss it up?
Go Jags.
That's not about Marvin Jones.
Go Jags.
Okay, the Jags suck. Now we're
Did they
moving.
play the Jags this week?
Beat Indy Doe.
Oh, that's why I got that.
We beat Rogers. It's all good. But we're going to keep on moving. I could talk about Indy all day.
Nobody
So
wants
we're
to
going
do
to toss it up. I'm going long. We going with them Hail Marys. Anybody want to start us off? Because I'll start us off.
No, I don't ever want you to start us off in any.
I'll start us off just because the guy I'm going to talk about, we already talked about a lot earlier. But J.J. Nelson, he qualifies for Hail Mary because he's only owned in 19% of leagues on the ESPN. But he is Hail Mary by definition just because of his own percentage. I'm sure that'll be above 25% by Sunday, but right now he's a guy you want to go get, throw the Hail Mary deep to this man. He's on a hot roll right now. And good matchup against San Fran this week, so go play that to man.
I like it.
good.
I like it a lot.
Yes.
Hail Mary I'm going with this week is Eli Rogers for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I foresee a shootout in Pittsburgh against Dallas this weekend. Sammy Coates can't catch a ball to save his life currently. And Eli Rogers last week had 6 catches for 103 yards. So I think he has now taken the role that Sammy had. Also to add, he's available in 90% of leagues. So I just think if you need a guy to go out there, maybe get you a tug this week in your flex.
If you say tug one more
Could
time.
be the slot receiver for
Swear
the
to
Pittsburgh
God.
Steelers, Eli Ratchis. Plus, I love saying the name Ratchis.
Yeah, I'm about to disown you right here, right now. All right. Well, I'll go next, and I'm going with Taylor Gabriel for the Atlanta Falcons. Tough matchup playing the Eagles, but he's only owned in 1.1% of leagues. But his last 2 weeks, 3 catches for 68 and a touchdown versus Green Bay, 5 catches for 52 yards, 24 rushing yards and a rushing TD last week. Like I said, tough matchup, but he's a true Hail Mary guy out here. Matt Ryan loves to throw that deep ball, and Philly got beat a couple times last week. Eli Manning threw 4 touchdowns against them. I'm giving Taylor Gabriel that speedster a look this week against Philly.
It's going to be hard for him to score any points when Philly knocks him out in the first play of the game. He's a kick returner, right? He's getting knocked out, kid.
He might be. I
You watch
haven't
that.
watched
Check
much of
that.
Atlanta. All right, and who's got the last game ball? Hail Mary.
Game ball.
Game ball.
We already did game balls.
So
But mine was so great, I want to say it.
Get your head in the
twice.
game ball.
A game ball so nice. You got to say Jimmy Graham twice.
I hate you.
2
So
one-handed
much.
catches.
I hate you so much.
Yo,
That's
those
nice.
catches were great. Dude.
So much so.
And the fact that it won me a game I was down 14 points by, all I needed was 14 and got me 28. Oh. Jimmy
Meanwhile,
Graham.
people are in need of Hail Marys. and I
Yeah,
believe
so
we
we
Yeah,
have
who's
more.
the last one? I already
Avoid
named
listening
mine.
to you. What do you mean the last one? Are you on crack?
Okay,
Is he
so we
paying
had
attention
J.J.
right now?
Nelson. We had Eli Rogers. I had
Who'd you have?
Taylor Gabriel. Who'd you have?
You don't even know who you had? You didn't even hear who
Who
I
did
had.
you have?
Oh my goodness, ball. You forget I went first.
I do.
Haha, tripping.
I guess I wasn't
Tripping,
paying
tripping.
attention to you because mine was so great.
Haha, you've been jerking off
All
about
right,
Jimmy
well,
Graham.
Sorry
The
about that.
anticipation is killing me.
I thought
I got
I thought we had one more. I guess we don't. So games actually already started. So
All right, thanks for
we're gonna
listening.
get
Bye.
ready to watch this great game. But first, we're gonna give you the game picks. So this week we got Baltimore at home against
Hold on,
Cleveland.
wait.
We had another game,
Wait, we
Hail
do-
Mary
Craig,
ball.
do you have a Hail
No, we
Mary or
don't.
no?
I
Craig
got
already
Hail
had
Mary.
one.
All right.
Who was Craig's Hail Mary?
Tampa Bay Bucks.
I hate you, Craig.
A running
I
back.
really hate you.
Running back by the man.
I'm trying to be
By the
professional,
man.
and you're being a piece.
By
of
the
shit.
man. Got him.
4th and 6. I'm trying to watch this great matchup. Hurry up.
Anyways, there must be some type of penalty that's been like that for days.
Yeah.
Anyways, Peyton Barber,
Right.
the new running back for the Bucks currently until Doug Martin gets fully healthy, which could be in about a week or 2.
Practice this week, baby girl. Let's get it in.
First time since week 2. So
I
that's
know,
a nice
I
thing.
know. I mean, he's not playing this week.
About
He apparently
time.
looks good in
He's
practice.
basically the same as Deion Lewis. You haven't been able to play him until right now, which is TR. But Peyton Barber's a good fill-in. He got 7 last week, and they were getting killed by the Falcons. So I can see him getting in the double digits. If you look at Jaquiz Rogers, they fed him the ball. They like to feed the running back, try to make it a more balanced offense for Winston.
Good one, dude. That's a good one to throw it up deep, too. Let's do our game balls real quick. Literally.
Yeah, let's do our
speedy
game
quick.
balls, which we already
Our
did.
game
Now I'm
picks.
asking
Or
you.
whatever.
Now we're
Yeah.
doing game picks,
Hold on,
okay?
hold on,
I'm
hold on.
moving.
Wait, let's.
How did we
just
do
so
last
can-
week? How
just-
did we do last week,
hold on,
fellas?
hold on. Before we get to that, we should keep ourselves accountable. Literally, instantly, we should say who our Hail Marys were last year and if they did any good this week. Or last week, and if they did any
The
good.
Hail Marys?
Yeah. For example, I picked Tyreek Hill last week and he did trash. How about you guys? Yeah.
I don't
Does
even
anyone
remember.
remember
You
the Hail
didn't
Mary
tell me you were,
picks?
we were
No,
doing
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
You don't even remember your Hail Mary? What do you mean? I gotta tell you.
So it was, did I pick Kenny Stills last week?
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay, I picked Kenny Stills. I don't
Alright,
think he did
I guess
anything.
I put you guys on.
I got sassed for picking Kenny Stills. That's why I don't want to talk about my last week one. So we're going to move
Alright.
on to game picks.
Wow.
Sorry, Pace.
You better remember.
Like
these
I
next
said
week. Be
before,
prepared.
Craig
Your-
sassed me heavily. Shut up. Give me your ring if you talk again. Baltimore at home versus
my
Cleveland. I'm going Baltimore.
Did you say
Anybody can say
something? I didn't even hear
anything.
you say anything.
The Ravens.
I love awkward silence, but I'm sure the viewers don't. All right, I guess 2 people forfeit their picks, so I'm moving right on.
No, that's gonna be the Browns.
The first of the year, interesting.
That is an interesting take.
Write it down.
We gotta go through these picks.
All right,
Come
Craig,
on, fellas.
who you
Craig, who
going?
do you
Yeah.
have?
Why-
Ravens.
All right. Carolina's coming at home against KC this week. I think Cam becomes Cam again. I'm going with the Panthers at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the opposite on that one. I'm going to go KC. I think they're getting Justin Houston back this week. Spencer Ware back too. I think KC's going to take that one.
That's exactly my reasoning. Justin Houston.
They're going to get a ton of pass rush on Cam. The offensive line sucks.
All right, Pace.
I'll go Panthers.
Ooh. All right, we got Jacksonville at home taking on division rivals in Houston. Jacksonville drops another one.
Jacksonville for your boy. I'm staying tried and true.
Houston takes it. Jacksonville drops another one.
All right, basket on Houston. No, I got to go Jacksonville on this one.
Wow.
If they lose this, that's terrible.
Much love.
I'm also taking Jacksonville.
Beautiful thing.
Simply because they play Brock Osweiler.
Oh, I love the fact that I'm the only one picking Houston and I can get myself back in them standings.
This is exactly why you're below everyone.
New Orleans at home versus Denver. Denver.
Oh.
New Orleans is hot.
I'm
right
going
now.
upset. I'm going New Orleans. The Saints are pulling it at home.
Yeah,
I'm feeling it.
New Orleans.
I think New Orleans scores a few more points than Denver this game. That's how they win.
Craig, who you
That's
got?
usually how you win.
That's how
I'm
you win.
also going with them because Drew Brees is a superhuman in the dome.
That looks beautiful. All right, Jets at home versus LA. I hate that. I'm gonna give it to the Rams. Bryce Petty starting his first game. I'm giving it to the Rams. You from?
I'm also going to go Rams. I think their D-line's too much. Although I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
You ain't the Rams. Don't come back to LA.
I'm going Rams.
Rams are going to win.
Rams, sweet. Philly at home versus Atlanta. I think Hot Atlanta keeps it rolling.
I'm going to go Eagles with the upset. I'm feeling it. They've been playing well at home this year.
That's hard. What'd you say, Bass? Who are you going with?
I went with Atlanta.
And Slade, you got Eagles?
It's Atlanta.
Yes.
I'm going Atlanta as well. But I could see it either way.
With many reservations.
Yes.
You gonna make it
That's
2-2?
tough. That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Hot Atlanta.
It's Atlanta. All right, Tampa Bay at home versus Chicago. They looked so good last week. I'm going to go with them on the road. I'm going with the Bears.
Bears.
You going with the Bears?
No, I was just
saying Bears.
saying Bears.
Everybody likes
I wasn't
Bears.
picking them. Never would.
Never would.
I'm feeling Tampa this week.
I got Tampa.
I think Jameis gets it done.
I also got Tampa.
Terrell Freeman's going to stun against Tampa. Can't wait. We got Tennessee at home versus Green Bay. Green Bay just took a loss to the Colts. I don't think they're going to lose to the Tennessee Titans. Green Bay all bye.
I'm also going Green Bay. I don't see them losing to the Titans. I think Rodgers comes out with a vengeance.
Green Bay.
Tennessee.
Wow. In Lambeau.
No, it's in Tennessee.
Yeah, in Tennessee.
You sure?
Last week was in Lambeau.
You sure?
AFC South can win in
Positive.
Lambeau, apparently.
Yeah, you
All right, this one's a little tougher than I thought it'd be. Washington at home versus Minnesota.
Washington.
I like the Washington one, but I'm going to go with Minnesota.
I'm going Washington because you saw what they did to Philly when that O-line was disheveled. Look at the Vikings O-line.
Very true.
Say hello to Kerrigan.
It's going to be a low-scoring game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to go Minnesota in the game. Unfortunately.
I just
we
think
need them
that
to keep
defense
losing.
steps back up.
I'm going to pick Washington. Just because.
All right, San Diego at home versus Miami. San Diego is actually pretty hot this year. I'm going to go with San Diego.
I'm also going to San Diego.
Not hot record-wise, but their defense looks good. Kind of.
Miami. I'll take them.
Miami.
I'll take them.
I think I'm also going Miami.
Miami.
In a close one.
Arizona at home against San Francisco. This is hard. Arizona.
Arizona.
I second that.
Third, it would be.
Check that.
Chip Kelly sucks. Arizona.
Pittsburgh at home versus Dallas. Hate to say it, I'm going Dallas.
Pitt. Pittsburgh's at home. They kill at home.
They do. They
30-plus
really
points
do.
every time.
Until they don't.
This
And
is
then
tough.
Dallas wins.
Yeah, I'm going Pittsburgh this week. I think this is where Dallas' win streak finally comes to an end.
I think that's going to happen too. But I'm going to pick Dallas.
That's right. Don't follow your gut.
Yeah, I'm not following my heart or
Change it up.
anything. The rematch. New England at home versus Seattle. Pissed off Tom Brady. Patriots dub.
That's New England.
I'm taking Seattle in the game.
Tom Brady just don't lose at home.
Seattle on the road. Russ.
Russ.
to big old Jimmy Graham.
Oh.
Oh, I would love it.
Wrap it up, Bill.
Who you thinking?
You already said it. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
City.
All right, and the greatest Monday night game. This is why I didn't want to get to this. The greatest game I've ever seen in my life. New York Giants versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to go with the Giants. Adam Pac-Man Jones can't cover.
I'm also going Giants.
Me too.
Unfortunately, I'm also going Giants.
Well,
I just think their offense is too much for Cincy's.
Well, that's it. That's all the wraps up.
yeah. Time to get into this great game, the Cleveland Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens. I'm assuming all of y'all are enjoying this one. Make sure you go and follow us on Twitter at Fourth and Goalcast. This also helps because you can find the podcast. We have all the links in there on YouTube. Listen to it live every Thursday at 7 p.m. The next day, we got it uploaded on Stitcher and SoundCloud. So go check that out if you missed it tonight. What can I say but Indianapolis beat the Packers. Go Indy.
Giants are going to win AFC South. Let's go.
In fourth place, that's kind of hard. Go Indy.
It's not, though.
Birds are upsetting the Falcons this week. Let's get it in Philly. Let's make some noise, everybody.
Ooh, very hot.
I love it, baby.
I think I'm the smartest man on this podcast, and I'm pretty sure I'm 100% right.
No, you're not, Bess. And you know what is right? Case Keenum going to throw 2 picks in the first quarter. Jared Goff coming in, leading a comeback against the Jets. Go Rams. Thanks for listening.
You ain't the Rams. Don't come back.
See you next Thursday at 7 p.m. on the dot.
This time, it's for real.
Peace.
Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube.
It was at this point I knew Andy Dufresne was a great guy. Great man, Morgan Freeman, yes. We have to